Paint with the Soul, Episode 10, Garbage Thrown Away. Paint with the Soul was one of the shows that I Am Real Life and Ziggy92 discussed on NeoSeeker. I told the police about this and they informed me that 12 episodes of the show were made and broadcasted between December 5th, 1997 and January 8th, 1998. Exactly as I Am Real Life and Ziggy92 described. The episode opened with the cameraman wandering around in a forest. It appeared to be during the evening as it seemed the sun was setting. The cameraman walked along the path until he got to an area where there was a lot of garbage laying in the leaves. The camera looked around at the various wrappings, bottles, bags, and boxes, making sure each item got a few seconds of screen time. The camera then focused into a single area before the man spoke. I recall he spoke in a very timid, quiet voice, and I swear I've heard it somewhere else before, like on another Caldon Local 21 show. I could barely hear what he was saying, but he mainly talked about how humans are garbage, or something that had to do with saving ourselves by cleaning up the garbage. Us. It actually sounded really stupid, but still a feeling of dread came over me. I mean, that forest was possibly where those bodies were found, right? Mr. Bear Cellar, Episode 25. When the police administrator brought this tape in, I actually said, "Oh shit," and chuckled a bit out loud. Of course I got stares from the staff, but Wilson explained to them about my little experience with Mr. Bear and how I still kept the letter he sent me. Like the previous episode, this one included a guy wearing a bear mascot costume. The episode began with Mr. Bear waddling over to the red cloth table with a bottle of orange juice in his hand. Pause. On the table was 16 shot glasses, as well as a small bottle that contained an unknown liquid. Mr. Bear poured an equal amount of orange juice into the glass before opening the small bottle and disposing one drop into the glasses. Mr. Bear then went off camera. There were some minor sounds such as shuffling, and then Mr. Bear emerged from behind the camera's location. Following him were 16 children. Some looked as young as 4, others looked like they were practically teenagers. As the children entered, the administrator commented that this was the only episode that showed all 16 victims. The kids all looked rather content, except for this one, who had visible bruises on his face, and unlike the other kids, he had more of a fearful expression. He also looked about 11 or 12, which caused me to recognize him. He was the kid who had asked about his sister, and subsequently met an unknown fate at the end of episode 23, that one episode I watched during July 1999. When I told the administrator this, he confirmed it was the same kid. It also featured in episode 24, the episode that was only aired once at 3 o'clock in July 1999. Police have still not found the tape. Mr. Bear then broke into a song, singing about citrus fruits and how good vitamin C was for you. I could barely hear the lyrics, as they were muffled by the bear mask. The kids all drink their juice, the one from episode 23 doing it rather reluctantly. And the episode ended. After viewing the 3 tapes in possession of the Davis Road Police Station, I'm satisfied, but only temporarily. I still want to know the full story. The police just keep giving me the same crap about the creator of Caldon Local 21 being a fetishist pedophile as well as an apparent cultist. I will sign off for now. Get into university first. Get information later. Hopefully I'll get back to this blog as soon as possible. Update. May 12th, 2012. On April 17th, I finally got my G2 license. In Ontario, Canada, this allows you to drive in a car by yourself, as well as with some passengers after 6 months. I, of course, took advantage of this and drove to Caldon for a little Sunday drive. Since I haven't updated this blog in a while, I figured I might as well visit the house where the infamous jail of my childhood was located. The house looked different than when I last saw it in October. The place was no longer used as a daycare, and just sat there abandoned. However, It did have a for sale sign showing that someone still owned it, wanting to get rid of it though. The abandoned house drew fuzzy memories from my mind, mainly of that day my dad took me to visit Mr. Bear. A feeling of dread came upon me. What happened to the children while they were living in that house? I walked up to the steps of the front door and peered through the window. Inside I could see a nearly empty hallway with a few boxes at the end. At the end of the hallway to the right was an open doorway, presumably leading to the kitchen. To the left were two doors, both apparently leading to the rooms visible through the windows outside. I wonder where the cellar entrance was located, and whether it had been sealed up. I walked around the back of the house and found my answer. Two wooden doors laying at an almost flat angle were padlocked shut. This had to lead to the cellar. Not wanting to hang around, you cannot imagine what was going through my mind at that time, I departed. Beyond the house was an empty field, continued on until it reached a dense forest that lined the horizon. I wondered if that was the forest where the bodies of the children were found. I thought to myself, fuck it, and proceeded to walk across the field behind the house into the forest. The forest was oddly quiet, save for a few periodic sounds of a woodpecker drilling into a distant tree. I cautiously made my way deeper into the woods, not really caring about the fact that I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know how to explain it, but it felt like there was something I had to find. I came to a thinner part of the woods and a few small houses in the distance. Polo's house crossed my mind, and I wondered if one of those homes had belonged to him. I neared a small clearing in which I could see 3 adequately sized logs gathered around a black, charred area, showing a small fire had been lit there recently. "Hey! Get the fuck out of our fort!" Those words nearly gave me a heart attack. I turned to my left and saw 2 dark-clothed people running toward me. My initial thought was to run. However, as they came closer, I saw they were really just kids in their early teens, possibly 13 or 14, maybe even 12. As they approached me, they realized my size as well. I'm 6'1", while they could have been no bigger than 5'8". One might have been 5'7". We said, "Get the fuck out." The larger one, who was wearing a slip-knot shirt, said half-heartedly. I stood my ground and shrugged. The shorter one, who was wearing a Metallica shirt, swung out a butterfly knife and held it in my direction. "No, you wouldn't want to," I said in a deep, serious tone. Trying to sound as badass as possible, I pulled out my cell phone. The 2 kids withdrew, the one in the Metallica shirt putting away the knife. "Look, dude, we don't like people in our fort, so can you just go?" the one in the slipknot shirt said, obviously intimidated. I had no business in the forest anyway, so I uttered a simple "fine," and turned before I realized I had a great opportunity. Did either of you hear of a guy who murdered a bunch of kids in these woods about 13 years ago? I asked the kids. The 2 looked at each other in confusion, before the one wearing a Metallica shirt answered. "Yeah, everyone knows of that guy," he said to me, as if I were stupid. The kid in the slipknot shirt continued. "He still lives around here, in the storm drain. My big brother's friend said he saw him in a bear costume once, wandering around the forest at night." My instinct told me this was probably a lie, and the owner of Cowden Local 21 is probably long gone, only existing as folklore in the smaller, isolated community. However, as a human, the thought of the mysterious unknown sparks interest within. "And where is the storm drain?" I asked. Just out of curiosity. I don't actually believe the kid's story. The kid in the Metallica shirt stared at me for a few minutes, his eyes seemingly full of annoyance, yet curiosity for me. "You're not from around here, are you? Why did you even come here?" Now, I do admit I was slightly startled by the nature of his question. However, I figured I might as well explain why I was there, just in case people mistook my intentions.